Hi, my name is Nairi, this is Fly Little Birds, and today we're going to be talking about acceptance in PACE parenting, therapeutic parenting. So PACE parenting, if you don't know, is a therapeutic parenting method. Playful, acceptance, curiosity, empathy, and I've already done empathy and curiosity, and now we're on acceptance. Acceptance is the one that I found the most difficult. I've tried to record this video 3 times, so that really attests to the fact I find it the most difficult. To be able to accept other people, to a certain extent, you have to be able to accept yourself and your view of the world, and acceptance is a very intangible thing, isn't it? You kind of know when you meet someone whether they're initially accepting you or rejecting you. It's a funny sort of vibe you get, and children can feel the same. They know automatically how people are feeling about them, even if they don't express that. And so for us as parents, it's so important that we actually practice acceptance all of the time. Now, can you do it all of the time? No. Does it need practice? Yes. Acceptance needs practice, because when your child is not doing what you want them to do, is not behaving how you want them to behave, and things are going badly wrong, and you're feeling that disconnect between them, trying to be accepting is so difficult. So it is something that you really have to make a positive effort to do and practice. So every day when things go wrong, you have to say to yourself, there are reasons why. You have to use your empathy, your curiosity, and at the end of the day, practice unconditional love. Because often children that have been through a lot, have been through childhood trauma, do not necessarily give you spontaneous love back, do not necessarily give you any words of affirmation, give you any empathy, are not necessarily curious about your life at all. So acceptance is going to be based on unconditional love and actually putting yourself out there and practicing it. Now let me give you some examples. Incidentally, if you haven't looked at channel membership and you think this channel will be really interesting for you, then check out the membership tab and see what you think of it. Now with our boys, we've had significant issues in different ways, shall we say. So our oldest boy is really hard to communicate with because he has severe language development delay, so he's quite hard to communicate with. So with him then, the acceptance lies in the fact that you won't always get the right response back because he doesn't understand language in the same way. He may say something like, oh, that wasn't very good, or I didn't like that very much. He doesn't really mean it as harshly as it comes out. It's just he doesn't have the expressive language. So, you know, if I'm not in a great place that day, I might take that to heart. But actually, no, I'm going to use curiosity and I'm going to go back and say, well, what do you mean you don't like that? Well, that's not very good. Explain. And then he might say something else, you're like, he doesn't really mean it in the way it came across. And then, you know, I'm just going to have to accept the fact that he's not communicating properly with me and that you might have hurt my feelings, but I'm just going to have to accept that. For the other one, explosive, anger, lots and lots of drama. And the other day, I've mentioned this on the video, his bike went wrong. Something went wrong with his gears, a new bike, and he started to go absolutely, well, he went absolutely crazy. And I went into the room afterward and I said, you know, why are you going so crazy at me and Dad? We're the ones who bought you the bike. We're not the ones that made it go wrong. And he just said, I don't know. He said, I'm just angry about it. And I said, well, you're not helping by being angry back at us. He goes, I know, but I'm just angry about it. Now, I could have said, okay, well, you know, I'm fed up with that. Go up to your room or go and do this, go and do that. But my acceptance levels and my empathy actually have to accept the fact that unfortunately, this son of mine goes from 0 to 100 anger-wise, and actually he has very little control over that. He does try sometimes and he is better, but he has very little control over that, and he's not really trying to punish me for that bike not working. He just can't control himself. So I have to have a level of acceptance that says to me, he doesn't really mean it. It's part of who he is, and I need to accept that part of who he is his anger issues. Part of who the other one is his development, language problems, and that is part of who they are. I need to accept them as they are. That doesn't mean to say that you accept any behaviour that gets thrown at you. So I just need to say this now. This is the thing that's the misunderstanding about therapeutic parenting. Everybody thinks it's nicey-nicey, gentle, never put anything in place. Be loving and kind towards your children all the time and take whatever comes at you. Absolutely not, because these children need to know that you're the parent, that you've got them safely in your arms, and that you're going to act on their behalf. And just being weak and not doing anything and not having any consequences won't provide that for them. With that conversation came, okay, but you need to calm down now, and this needs to stop. We'll try and sort your bike out, but you need to calm down now. And then I just get a little nod, you know. And to be honest, if he'd carried on like he had, it probably would have been, do you know what, you're not having your bike for a little bit, you know, maybe a couple of days actually, because if you can't handle the new bike and you can't handle the fact that there's problems with it at the moment, then actually we need to not have the bike for a couple of days. And that would have been really hard, but we've had to do that with other things, and we find that if we hold out, then that will work. So acceptance is not about accepting any bad behaviour that comes your way, letting the children treat you however they like because they've got problems. Acceptance is about the person. It's not really about what they do. It's accepting who they are and why they have these problems. Now, there comes a point where you can't undo all of the rejection issues and identity crises that particularly adopted children have, because they have history there, they have history of their family, and at some point those questions will come, and you can't always put everything right for them just because you accept them, you accept the foundation they've come from, their behaviours, that everything will be fine for them, because in reality, from my experience, that's not the case. Everything will not always be fine for them, no matter how much you unconditionally love them. And this is another misconception, I think, about adoption, that adopters can be so wonderful, so loving, and people take that to a spiritual level, as we do too. But there's still rejection there, and children have to work through it. And no level of your acceptance is necessarily going to put that right for them. They may have to work through issues with other people. They may need professional help. They may need to go back to their roots. They may actually reject you for a while because actually they can't get their heads around it. So this is where we get on to how our children view us and how they view their friends and the world, the community. And sometimes they really struggle to accept us for who we are. They struggle to understand people's different viewpoints and aspects on life, and especially I find that with the boys when we're looking at their friendship side of things. They really can't always understand why friends might function in a different way, have different ideas, different families, and they work doubly hard to try to get their friends to accept them, but they don't necessarily want to accept how their friends live and what their friends do. I feel that the boys sometimes don't want to accept that they're in an adoptive family, and whereas when they were younger it wasn't so much of an issue, I think now that they're teenagers it is more of an issue. It's not that they're ashamed to be adopted, but they don't want to be seen as different, especially around their friends. So their acceptance of us as an adoptive family and me and my husband as adoptive parents is difficult. It's not that they don't want to think about it, and it's not that they don't understand it. I think it's just that they just want to be like every other child, and their acceptance of kind of being in a different type of family, an adoptive family, is very limited. And I guess as they get older and they sort of grow into adulthood, that they may change how they feel. But again, my experience of listening to other people is there's always an element of, what if things had been different? What if I'd been able to stay with my family? What if I'd been adopted by a different family? What if things have been different, and why can't my life just be normal, in inverted commas, like everybody else's? And so again, it doesn't matter how much you try to put that right for them, you can't change history, you can't change the past. And so you have to just work with it. I have to be very open, have an open dialogue with them so that they know that they can talk to you at any time about things. And there are times when they may say hurtful things like, I wish I hadn't been adopted, or, why couldn't I be with my family? Why can't I be with my family? What's so bad about my family? And all those things. And sometimes they might actually make you feel like all the work and effort you've put in is they're not accepting it. But actually over time it's more about their understanding of how they fit into society and how that fits into the community, and their greater understanding of things, I think, then helps them to start accepting things. I hope that's helped you. Check out the channel, subscribe if you want to, join membership if you want to, if you think it's going to help you, and I'll see you on Fly Little Birds. Thank you.